Hello, everyone. Today we have one more professional, and he is willing to share his questions, discussions, which he probably got in various interview related to Scrum Master, I guess. Let's see what all we have to talk. Uh, Give us a brief introduction, maybe, and then we get started. Yeah.
Uh, Definitely, Saket. So one more time, really appreciate your efforts and thanks for all the efforts that you are taking for the agile community. You have ample knowledge, and people are really using that knowledge. And we do not know how we reciprocate that thanks. So
Sure.
only words are not enough for your knowledge sharing process. But a lot of people are really using your videos for interview sessions, for even not for the only interview sessions, whatever the videos that you are putting over the YouTube are also helping them in your day-to-day working also
Yeah, that's
to
good.
upgrade their skill when they work on the project. So I'm not taking this discussion only for the interview perspective, but
Hmm.
this knowledge is helpful for me to handle some of the real situation that we face in our current account or current projects
Perfect.
or current company also.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
Saket, in couple of discussion, my experience is that and I have around 3.5 year of experience in as a Scrum Master, and overall
Mm-hmm.
I have around 14 year of experience. And
Mm-hmm.
I work on a different technologies like I work in Informatica. I work in cloud also as a Scrum Master. I handle those projects. Even
Mm-hmm.
I have been working on some of the legacy migration projects also,
Okay. Yeah.
where
Interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we have been working for customers, different customers, to get their entire landscape change for the new technology. And I have been working as a Scrum Master for all these projects, different technologies.
Perfect.
Uh,
Perfect. Yeah.
so there are some probably points that come out in various discussions or forums, right? So most of the as a Scrum Master, people know about what are their roles and responsibilities, right? But now people are interested to know how a Scrum Master probably as a change agent helping to change the culture. And probably
Mm-hmm.
people do not wanted to know the change the culture, but they wanted to see as a continuous process to change culture for the team and then the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to explore Scrum Master beyond their team and leverage that Scrum Master knowledge for the entire organization.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
So probably my base and my probably response to such a question or such a discussion is that culture is nothing but what we do every day, how we do
Mhm,
every day,
mhm,
and
mhm,
what is the process that we establish to achieve something that has been agreed with all the stakeholders.
mhm,
So
mhm,
if you consider these 3-4 points that defines a working culture for any organization or for any Scrum team. So
mhm,
I'm not
mhm.
talking at the organization level, but for my Scrum team, whatever they do, how they do, and what is the outcome of what they do is the culture for me.
Mhm,
Okay, so if I talking about the Scrum team, so we have a Scrum values like openness, courage,
mhm,
focus, respect, and commitment. So
mhm.
any of the team is probably guiding with these 5 factors or 6 factors. Then I would say the culture of the particular Scrum team is good, and they are adhering to the Scrum values. But
Mhm,
now the
mhm.
question is that how can we improve whatever the benchmark today we have, and how we reach to the particular level?
Okay, so let me try to understand the question. So one way to see is that, how as a Scrum Master, you help in improving the culture. That could be a one question. Or another question
Yes.
could be that how as a Scrum Master, you influence beyond the team, and how do you help us in having overall organizational culture influenced? Yeah, so that could be the
Correct.
second probable
Second answer. Second
thing, question,
discussion point.
yeah, discussion point, which might be related as well. And what I'm hearing
Yes.
is that you are saying that, yes, culture is something which is, say, unsaid rule, the unwritten way of working, but people imbibe those things into their day-to-day working. And when we do our day-to-day working, that forms the culture. And by putting the Scrum values in place, you help the team as well as the beyond the team people to change their culture. So that's something I'm picking up what your
Yes.
your answer seems to be. I think that's a good one. The only thing which I would like you to invite to think is maybe we can give some specific instances. So, for example, say openness may look little big. So we can say that over a period of time we have improved and changed and added the culture of transparency in the system. So it's the whole idea is that earlier people were not knowing what the other guy is doing, what the other teams are doing, and usually the team always had an tendency of hiding their work than sharing their work and always blaming someone else for dependencies. So over a period of time, by continuous effort inside your team as well as outside stakeholder, we have reached to a stage where something doesn't work, we don't get into a blaming stage. It was a culture before, it is not a culture now. So we can show just this is an example. We can talk about how a particular thing has moved from one culture of always shifting the responsibility to a culture of owning the responsibility. And you may talk a little bit of a story about it, how it happened over a period of time, and what kind of a challenges you faced, and what was primarily might be the reason of the previous behavior, and what might be the reason by which you believe the new behavior has come into. So one of the possible thing is, in the previous behavior, the management style was always trying to pinpoint people that you have done that, and all those things. And management style was always making the executive guy accountable for their work and always blame them if things doesn't go well. But now in the new management style, you guys have made the leadership start taking accountability of the failures. It is not when the failure happens you start looking at the team member to blame to. And usually the leaders are going more upfront and saying, yeah, this is a problem, and I take all the possible blame for it, but we need to move forward from there. So that could be a one way of putting. Because see, in many, especially when you are talking interviews, even if internal interviews for an internal job posting or external interviews, they may ask for a specific
Instance.
instances and stories, rather than a generic thinking of, we have included respect in the system, we have included openness in the system. So that may look little weird. We can say, okay, these are the type of behavior which were happening before, and these are the type of behavior which has started happening now, and this is how we are moving forward with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So till here
Uh,
it's good. Yeah, till here.
yes,
Yeah,
Saket,
yeah.
thanks for these inputs. I had the follow-up discussion point also, means the other person got convinced with whatever. Even I shared some of the examples that happened in the past with my team,
Perfect.
and he
Perfect.
convinced on that.
Perfect.
But what he's saying that Sandeep, probably your team is quite matured, right? In all the scrum ceremonies, and then probably you do not see a lot of conflicts. This is a hypothetical condition, he put it. It's
Perfect.
never be a
Perfect.
case, right?
Perfect.
But
Perfect.
he
Yeah.
he asked me, how do you motivate your team for the cultural change? Because sometimes seniors in the team probably they are quite hesitant to have that culture change.
Okay, so maybe you say, if I would try to be a little specific. If I have to answer this thing, we can say that we usually don't refer abstractly the culture. We talk about. I can convert this question in a way: how do we focus on continuous improvement, and how do we challenge our current behavior, even if it seems like a mature behavior, good behavior from outside? But how, as a scrum master, you ask them, okay, this is something has made us reach this level, how do we take it the next level? So in a way, when you keep continuously improving, it will impact the overall surrounding and the way team operates. So that probably the thing which we can look into. Now how do we do that? And
Hmm.
maybe there could be some individuals who may start believing that, we have already done enough, we are doing things on time, we have a fair understanding of our customer stakeholders and all those things, and it looks very stable in general. So why do we explore something else? So in general, you can share that in my experience, the things, even if the team might be very stably doing things, but the external environment is never stable. So your client representative gets changed many times, the technology version gets changed, somebody leaves the organization, someone new person joins the organization. So it's very difficult to find that steady state. Now steady state can only be discovered when I am working in a very monopolized environment and my team is working there for the next 10 years, and there is no change in anything outside and inside of the structure. But that's usually not the case. So, and even like COVID-19 kind of things keeps coming, so there could be a lot of disruption keeps coming. So the whole idea here is it is difficult to have a stable state. Yeah, even in whatever word you use, culture or a team performance. So that is something is a usual pitch point. You can say this is where we start, that the things are never the same. We cannot keep doing something which we were doing before. They are never the same, and we need to learn something to navigate to the future thing. So it is not about that, okay, everything is good, why should we move somewhere else? Even if everything is good inside the team, maybe client word has changed, the release has gone,
Mhm.
the release has got new type of a feedback, the product may have got expanded into a new market segment, and the new market segment may have a different kind of a expectation from the releases. The automation might have moved. The earlier we were only 50% automated, now we are 70% automated, or something like this. So there could be multiple things which are changing around. So maybe you if I have to answer it, I would say that
Mhm.
rather than motivating my team member, I share what is changing in the continuous basis in our surrounding, and then invite them to look for how can we make those change beneficiary for us, rather than they become problem for us, that rather than they become threat for us. How do those all instances which are happening at a client environment or at our development environment, even if someone leaving the organization or some new guy joining the organization, how can we use those instances as an opportunity? And we can only use them as an opportunity when we continuously evolve with the help of retrospective in general, and find a better way of doing on a regular basis, because there is no steady state. And by doing these evolutionary steps, you overall
Mhm.
keep evolving your culture. So culture also evolves, even the society culture also evolves on a daily
Yeah.
basis. This is not a stable state. So similarly, even if you don't do anything, it will evolve. But by doing a thing, you evolve it in a direction which might be positive for the team as well as organization growth.
Okay. Saket, probably appreciate this response, but what I answered in the discussion, like probably,
I can't hear you in between.
can you hear me now?
Repeat again. Yeah, repeat again.
Yeah. So what, even what I have added as a response to the discussion, like probably I will find out the fascinated reason for a change, right? If because the discussion was started, your team is probably a stable, and then you wanted to upgrade, or probably you wanted to motivate the team for a next cultural change. So I told them that probably if I wanted to have a change, I will find out a fascinated reason for a change, and then I will not convince my team, but I will keep this idea with them and will let them decide if they wanted to go with the change or not, because I will facilitate that change, but I am not owning that change. And one of the example I put it over in the discussion, that in the retrospective, and this is what we done, uh, freshers people or the new people are very shy to talk, right? Because they are not that technically equipped, and probably they are not domain equipped people. So what I did as a scrum master, I asked one of the fresher to facilitate the retrospective meeting. I shared all the inputs before the retrospective happened, and he or she is the person who is literally handling the retrospective, taking the notes, taking the action item, and publish the retrospective report with all the stakeholder with my review, so that he got that ownership of the being at that Scrum team. So that what change is really appreciated by the senior folks as well, and he got into the talkative mode where he open his mind, he open his creativity to come up with the reports.
Perfect. So this is something like a team development step you have taken. There was a situation where people were shy, they were not having enough trust and engagement because they were new, and then you gave them some opportunities to engage with the others, which helped them build a better team. And that's a good example for team development. So it helped the overall team to gel well and move forward. That's the whole thing. So you kind of increase the openness, you created a kind of a trust amongst the people because you gave that person an opportunity. And related to your first point, that I want to understand what are the compelling reason why we are looking for a change, is also a very good step to talk about. We start from what we want to do, why we want to do, rather than we directly start focusing on how we want to do, because you can figure out how do we want to do, but why we have this thing here. So a good understanding and good appreciation from everyone to understand why we are doing is a good idea. The
Mhm.
only thing is, you may not necessarily say that I may not be accountable for all those things, so better you avoid these words. You can say, yeah, I am
Okay.
there, we all are together. So it is not like me losing or they losing, we all are together.
Okay.
And the whole idea here is we are together to face the new challenge. Now the challenge is there, and how well we can face, or what we will lose together. But this is what we are chasing for.
Okay.
So uh, 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 yeah, so I think that's a good way we can say, yes, there is the reason and appreciation of the reason. And as a scrum master, primarily my role might be that I make that reason crystal clear to people. I
Correct.
clarify more and more detailedly, so that people understand the reason behind the change. And it is just not the reason, I also facilitate and make them see how the path forward. So my role is
Correct.
understanding what is why we are doing and how can we navigate to it. So there is a possibility, after seeing the reason, people may get worried, people may get afraid, okay, this all is changing now, how we are going to survive in the new world. So my role is making them clear why we are doing what is happening, and how I can assist you by providing new trainings, new technology, new support, new engagement activities to navigate to it. So with a
Correct.
hope. So you are sharing the reason with a hope that, yeah, this is what
Oh,
it is.
correct.
And now there is a path forward, and the path forward can take you at a better space. Yeah.
Okay. So probably I will have to say that even the new change probably fear, may not make my team members fear to the change. Instead of, I
Yes.
will help them to connect emotionally and probably with the commitment to the change and respond to the change positively, instead
Yes.
of making them fear for the change.
Yes. So it's like that you show the reason and you show the whole thing. You make them appreciate what is happening and what is our control, what is beyond our control. At the same time, you also show the path forward. How can we navigate to it? What we have to do in order to navigate to it, and it's possible. There is a mechanism, there is a training, there is a support
Yeah.
exist which can help you to navigate to it. Yeah, and that is your role.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
Saket, moving to the next discussion point. Again, it's probably about uh, the Scrum team as overall delivery. So the
Mm-hmm.
discussion was, as a Scrum Master, how do you again continuously improve the product delivery or the quality of your deliverables as a
Mm-hmm.
done,
Mm-hmm.
as a incremental or as a done?
Yeah. So in a simple word, this is the whole idea is, in a real word, if you are really working on this direction, so retrospective is the place to do all these things. Yeah. And if we do retrospective well, these all things will be taken care very, very well, because the idea of retrospective or idea of effective retrospectives are meant for that only. Many times when we try to answer, we should not be undermining the importance of retrospective. So don't say that I will do this and I can do that. You can say this whole idea is around retrospective. And as a mechanism, I feel the retrospective is the best instrument to get that thing done. That's the starting point. Now again, we can say that yes, they might be achieving something. Yeah, there is a place, but there is a opportunities also, because there is a new technology coming in all the time. There are opportunity for automation coming all the time. There is an opportunity of using new way of working coming all the time. So say if there is no opportunity, then why people are moving from technology A to technology B, technology B to technology C? So the world is anyway moving, and we always want to make extensive use of those things so that our life become better. So we learn more, we enjoy more, we we don't do repetitive tasks. We have been doing, say, bug fixing. We have been doing good amount of a rework. We have been doing good amount of repetitive testing. So we as a team always aspire to remove our repetitive work and always add more and more creative work in our work profile. Now, how do we add our creative work in our work profile if we don't take care of a previous work? So this is something, could be a one example in a one organization where retrospectives were
Mhm.
always meant for identifying how can we increase a creative part in our team. Yeah, because it is not necessarily only meant for making company profitable, it is also meant for making the each and every individual also more skillful every month. So if we don't become a skillful every month, we are also getting stagnated. So it is a multidimensional thing. So that is something I think you can put across and bring back to the retrospective with the goal of making individuals happy, making them more educated and intelligent, or I would say the skilled professional in their trade. So they develop mastery. So the whole idea of
Mm.
continuous improvement is a persuasion for mastery. So we can say that we imbibe the idea of mastery because there is no end to a mastery. We keep doing. And if we can imbibe that idea of mastery in our retrospective, that takes care of all the problem. Yeah, and primarily not always talking from the language of what organization get out of it, rather than talking from
Mhm.
the language of what individuals and teams get out of it. So I don't want to work on a repetitive job. I want to just finish work once, rather than finish it then fix 10 defects out of it and then later on also fix something around it. So it may be you are spending time, but I am also wasting my time in doing something or redoing something which I have done before. So pursuing mastery of not having defect, pursuing mastery of having more and more automation helps me in doing more and more creative work. So that kind of a case with some example of your project environment, team environment can, I think, help. Yeah,
Sure. Saket, means I spoke about the retrospective in the response to the question, but the next person said that Sandeep, still retrospective is happen once you're done with your sprint, once you're done with your incremental, right? So still he feels that retrospective is some kind of a reactive. It's not the proactive for your current sprint. So he wanted to know what are all the steps that as a scrum master you should be taking to have a quality in first place instead of it getting caught in the retrospective, or instead it getting caught in the demo or the review meeting. So
perfect,
he wanted
perfect.
to know more from the technical point of view. So I told them probably the reviews, lift shape method, then continuous integration CI/CD pipe with the automation testing, then peer reviews, pair programming that helped me to have a quality at first place.
Perfect. So what I can see here is one is the small retrospective you do every day is a daily scrum meeting from a scrum point of view. So
Correct.
scrum, daily scrum is a retrospective. So there is no one telling you that don't discuss anything which is currently visible or troubling you. Whatever is troubling you, just after the daily scrum, you should have a meet after and get it resolved. The retrospective, which is happening at the end of a sprint, which is 2 weeks or whatever frequency is a little more creative space to explicitly look into how can we do things differently, and maybe
Mhm.
discovering those things which were not very visible during the 2 weeks time because you were feeling everything is going good, but now you are taking a pause and doing it. So that's a general, but again, interviewer, the interviewer may have some mindset which is difficult to judge. The only thing which I say, yes, we can talk about all technical practices and all, but these things
Engineering
also
practices.
engineering practices and all, but these things also depends upon what is your team and what kind of a technology they are using. If you are working from informatica to cloud, then what all will be relevant in those cases? So there is a significant amount of subjectivity there, and in general that subjectivity can be better handled by the development team only rather than you handle it. You may not know what are the possibilities of building quality at the first time, from the first sprint, from the first day itself. Yeah, because you
Mhm.
may not have that thing. So if you are assuming you are a first iteration, people have never worked before, and you are just starting the day one, if that's an assumption, yeah, there is no historical experience of working with each other, then in the agile world or even in the traditional world, we start with the project charter and quality policy agreement. So that could be that
Correct.
team charter also. So you can say we form a team charter, we have an understanding how team is going to operate, and the team charter is in our Scrum way, you can say the first time the team charter will result into a definition of done, which you will use for the first time. So whatever makes perfect sense on the day one, you come up with the definition of done accordingly. And then you reflect on it on a daily basis. And during the retrospective, you are improving your definition of done. So if there is a situation where the definition of done was you realize that there is something big lacking in the definition of done, yeah, it could happen in the initial few sprints, then you definitely modify that then and there as a subsequent discussion after the daily Scrum. But again, people are the one who know it well, because you may not be able to appreciate all the dimensions which are needed, what all is feasible and what all is not feasible. But yeah, you can facilitate team chartering exercise, you can facilitate
Mm-hmm.
definition of done discovery activity, and then get started, and then daily Scrum has a quick inspect and adapt, and then you do a retrospective. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe
Thanks,
when the
Saket.
interviewer say that, then you can say, yeah, I appreciate it. Maybe a situation you are saying that, they are starting first time and they don't have a history of working together. And there could be some technical gap which people are unable to appreciate. And you worry that if you let them do like this, then 2-3 weeks will be get wasted. So you may want to intervene from the beginning itself. If there is a such kind of a situation, we can start by forming a team charter ground rule activity, and then subsequently documenting and understanding the definition of done critically. And maybe in the daily Scrum, if we detect something, we do a meet after and talk about that daily Scrum update, and you can bring some example around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Saket. Saket, one more scenario-based question where in a development team, there are, let's say, 7 to 8 people. Out of that, one is quite a senior person who is probably by nature is quite a good and helping person. He's kind of a person for everyone as a go-to person, even for a Scrum master, even for a product owner. But he is somewhat hesitant to join Scrum daily Scrums because for n number of reasons. And you as a Scrum master spoke to him couple of times, but somehow he is not convinced to have a daily Scrum. He is not joining. But end
Mhm.
of the day, from a work wise, quality wise, or from the coordination, he is doing his role as per uh, as per the Scrum definition or what we say as a team agreement. But he is not joining the Scrum daily Scrums.
Yeah. So what is the result of it, and what are, so you need to make a little assumptions there and share those assumptions while you are answering this question. So you may say that I'm assuming that the person may have a time related stuff. Yeah. And there is a no way to adjust the time where people can come together. So that could be a one possible assumption. And the another assumption is that the person feels that he feels the daily Scrum is a waste of time. You just give my work, I will do my work. Yeah. So like we need to make some assumption of the reason before we can answer that. Yeah, that's the thing. Or we may believe that person is a individual contributor, and he doesn't want to get into who is doing what and why that is happening. He want to be an individual guy. He says, you give me my job, I will do my job. Yeah. Just don't discuss beyond that. So that could be a one guy also. I will do my job.
Mm.
If you need any assistance from me, then ask me, but don't involve me in other teaming activities, because I feel I don't appreciate all those things. Yeah, so that could be the third particular case. Now, see, if it is a time issue, if it's other issue, still it's a kind of thing which we need to see as a whole team. How can we work with that? Yeah, and is it really a thing which we need to work on? Because there will be in our team charter, we need to agree how do we make decisions. So if we have a decision which is made based on majority vote, then it's made majority based on the majority vote, and person has to comply to the team charter or the team ground rules which we have agreed to, if that is the case. Now, assuming there is a guy who says, I'm a very very senior guy, I'm an expert, I'm a subject matter expert, and you need my assistance all the time, and I am not going to work as a team, but I am going to work as an independent person, then remove the person from the
Mhm.
team, just consider it as a subject matter expert and contributor. So, like,
Okay.
if the person, there is also a possibility. So you can say, yeah, we contribute. You are We may be very well able to help and work with the guy, but may not necessarily as a part of a scrum team, maybe as a part of individual contributor, maybe as a part of system architect or something else. So you may say that, okay, he's a system architect, he provides guidance, he participate in a sprint planning meeting, but since we have identified him as a system architect or someone else, he is not necessarily participating in daily scrum, not participating in retrospective and reviews meeting, because he's a expert contributor to our team. He's now no more a team member to the team. So we need to understand,
Okay.
is this guy the team member? If yes, then we should find how the team works together, or the person could be outside the team as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Because
there could
he
be a situation where the person may wants to remain outside the team. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I spoke in that direction, Saket. Probably I spoke more on your last point. Like he's kind of assuming that he's a SME or he's a domain expert and may not be a one to part of a contributor. So he said that Sandeep, this is the anti pattern then, because as a Scrum team, he or she has to join the daily Scrum. Otherwise, it defined as
Yeah, so
anti
we
Scrum pattern,
we
right?
gave all the options. Yeah, we gave all the options. And in the third case, you are not saying he's an anti-pattern. He's no more a part of a scrum team. Yeah.
Correct. If he's
So
more out of the Scrum team, then it cannot be defined as
yeah,
anti pattern.
yeah. So that's what we are saying. So what we are saying is that we need to figure out how do we work, and it's not necessarily always happy ending. As per our team agreement, we take a decision, and once we take a decision, team has to comply to it. So we try to find out consensus. We try to adjust. If it's not possible, then we remove the person from the team and consider him as an expert who might be guiding and mentoring people.
Okay. So still we are holding him for our client perspective, but he's not a part of the Scrum team as well.
Yeah. So there's a possibility. So you can have,
Okay.
usually like the Scrum will not have a role called architect. The Scrum will not have a role called, say, mentor or a
SME.
system. Yeah. So someone might be knowing the financial details, which are very critical for the domain detail, which are very critical for your product. But he is not a contributor, and he's not saying, this person is working on this and this person is working on that. He's a kind of a shared resource. He's a contributor. So you go to him, he provide you help, and then you come out of it. So that's an option, but again, it all depends upon the situation, who is what. But yeah, in general, if you are a part of the team, then you need to know what is happening inside the team. Yeah. Now, daily scrum is a one of the way of knowing it. You may discover some other way also, but that is something that together we have to discover. It is not, daily scrum is not the only way to know how things are working. You may have some
Correct.
other, maybe a mature team may decide to do some Slack channel or something else rather than daily stand up, but it achieves all the objective of daily stand up.
Objectives.
So that's a possibility. But if you are a part of team, then you should know, you should be a part of that group where all these things are getting discussed. You should be able to understand what is getting discussed. Else we need to treat you differently and have a different conversations with you. Yeah.
Thanks, Saket. Saket, moving to the next point of discussion at the discussion happening on the point that what will be the change when Scrum Master working for a client as a vendor? This is typically happen in all the service industries, right? And what could be the, let's say, a Scrum Master joining from service industry to product industry, where all the stakeholders are from one umbrella, right? And in service industry, the stakeholder are considered as the external stakeholder. Your PO is still your part, but end of the day, he's from the client, right? So there is a behavioral change in the Scrum Master. So they wanted to know what will be that behavioral change as a Scrum Master,
Yeah,
because
sure.
one coming from the service industry and one joining the product industry, where all the stakeholder comes from a single umbrella or from a single team.
Perfect. So the whole idea here is, see, Scrum does not define how a Scrum Master should take care of a contract, how Scrum Master should
Correct.
submit the evidences for the billing, and how he should ensure that billing for his team is get done as per his client or as per his say sponsors expectation when you are working in a service industry. And that all thing is not understood, not explained. The way Scrum is explained and understood is, it is like everybody is a part of same organization, everybody is willing to collaborate, everybody is open, and we are going together. So if that situation is not same, like you have a contract, you need to submit your timesheets, and if there is an issue in the timesheet, you get penalized, your company get penalized, and there are velocity issues. Your client is taking X number of performance measurement reports, which are very critical for your company to meet to. So many times, if you are working as a vendor scrum master, you need to take care of probably you or someone else, maybe some project manager, maybe a designated project manager. So usually you can say that whenever you have a client and a vendor relationship, there will be an existence of some contract, and there will be some existence of a project kind of environment. There is some engagement duration, start date and end date. So when
Correct.
there is a contract, when there is a project, there is also a need of project management and contract management at some extent. Yeah. Now it is depending upon who is doing that project management and contract management. Many times this project management and contract management responsibility shifts to the scrum master only. Yeah. So you can say, we are not saying it's a scrum master role, we are saying this person who is playing the scrum master role also end up doing project management activity. That's the one possibility. The another possibility is they hire another project manager to do a project management activity, and the scrum master primarily focuses on team facilitation only. So in the second case, when you have a separate project manager, you may have another stakeholder to work with, but in general, your setup remains more or less same, because the external issues are taken care by the project manager. But when you have a mixed responsibility, then you also do a contract management and project management. Yeah, that's a new thing get added in your work profile. There will be significant probability of behavioral change. It also depends upon how these two companies are working together. Say if these two companies has
Correct.
been working for 3 years and they have an annual contract, then the situation is different. When these two companies are working in a situation that every 3 months they review, should we continue working with you or not? Yeah, because they are new and
Correct.
the contract is always due for renewal every 3 months, and every 3 months vendor has to prove that they are the best. Yeah, else the company will say we will go to someone else. So
Correct.
in the second situation, then the good amount of project management activity will get added. There is a high probability the good amount of project management activity will get added to a scrum master or someone else who is taking care of that particular team. Yeah,
Exactly. Because in service industry, I think we have that additional dimensions of the contract management, SOW
yeah,
management, even
yeah,
the
yeah,
SLAs and all those
yeah.
things comes into the picture, right?
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
Uh, Saket, coming towards probably the specific ground questions, like I had that question in one of the discussion. Like we do have estimation as a story point estimation while do a sprint planning or the product backlog grooming, right? But when we start our sprint, most of the teams does a burn down chart on the hourly basis, right? So the question is that then are you doing the twice estimation because you already done the estimation as a story point. Now you are starting your day one of a sprint, you are again plotting the burn down on the hourly basis.
so why
So
should you do that? That's the question. Yeah,
why
why
should
should
we
you do? Yeah,
why should you do that, the burn down chart on the hourly basis? I
yeah.
told them that the story point burn down probably give us may not be give us a correct picture. That was my observation, because in my team the burn down, if we plotted the burn down for a story points, then the graphs looks like very linear, right?
Mhm.
And
So
probably because if I start the story point today and end up on third day, then probably I do just have a straight line, and I may know not what the progress has been made, or my probably the stakeholder may not never know what has been done today or tomorrow.
yeah, perfect. So there are multiple issues here. One is that yes, you can plot a burn down type sprint burn down chart also, a story point based sprint burn down chart also, and many people are doing it. They are primarily doing it to ensure that stories are incrementally finished. Yes, there could be few upgrades only, not necessary.
Correct.
You see
A
a
daily upgrades.
daily update, but you see how it is doing. In order to do that well, you need to have at least 10 stories in a sprint. If you only pick 3 stories and then you do a story point level burn down chart, then it will be a little weird. But yeah, if you have 10, 15 stories, so you start making small stories then, and then you have a that level of estimation and you do that. So that's a technically one is the alternative. The another thing is you also need to see what kind of a stress has been put on estimating the effort and duration while you were estimating in a story point. So what is the objective of story point estimation and what is the objective of hourly estimation? So many organization, and I'm not saying a particular all the time, many organization end up doing story point estimation primarily to have a long-term forecast. So you can say the story point estimation will have a 10 to 20% variances because it is done on the basis of overall understanding. But when you are doing a sprint planning based estimation, yeah, whatever tool you use, you may say story point again, or you may say hourly type, but the sprint planning estimation, which is a revisit of the previous estimate only, but it is only get revisited for those items which you are going to do now, and it has been revisited based on the situation which is right now at hand, because the story point estimation might be done 2 months ago or 1.5 months ago, but right now you have situation at hand, you have a code at hand, you have a people at hand, you have a festivals at hand, you have everything at hand, and based on that you decide what can be done in this particular time.
Mhm.
And in order to do, and who is doing it primarily, you have some understanding of those skill set also. Say you started a story point estimate, in between two people take like left the organization or took a long
You.
duration leave and whatever it is, yeah, they were the senior guy or a junior guy. So but story point estimation will remain as it is, there is no change in it because the size is not changing, yeah, that's the whole idea. But the effort will change because the whole process has been revisited. So it all depends. If there could be a situation where people might be doing story point estimation is also at a very granular level, they are doing it as if they are doing estimation of effort, then and the work is also very predictable, then you may not need a sprint planning meeting estimation also. And in those organizations, sprint planning meeting may also finish in 10 to 15 minutes also. This is okay, these are the work we are picking up, we understand our velocity, people know what they are doing, they just move on. So that's a possibility. If it's a very mature
Mhm.
product, everybody understand what they are doing, they may not do an estimation in the sprint planning, say story point is good enough for us, we don't want to have a further
Okay.
conversation. But in general, if you have a little bit of a new product where the uncertainties are high, then you are using story point estimation only for prioritization and giving some long term forecast. Then you may need to have a second level of estimation which is done at a sprint planning level. Now, the second question comes is what is that unit of the second level of estimation? I think
Correct.
that much could be flexible. You feel whichever you are comfortable with. If you put story point for a second level of estimation, then it may make your previous story point estimation also get
Right.
influenced, because the second level estimation is very specific to what will all get done in this iteration. So there could be a little confusion where people may start taking story point equal to ideal days only. So then it will be a better you call it in its ideal day estimation at a first level as well as next level. Yeah.
Okay. Saket, I spoke about means I try to convince him regarding as a SM I have a capacity and I probably I made my answer based on those parameters. But then he said he's okay. But he said that then Sandeep, how do you map, let's say, one story point, a very simple story point, where you are creating a UI page with the couple of three inputs button and then just a 2 to 3 enters like a login and credentials button, right? But then how do you map 8 story point taking a 16 hours? So do you have that mapping? So I told them that based on our past experience and the data coming from the organization for particular technology and particular domain, we have that data now because we have been working with the same project from last 2.5 hours. On the top of that, my organization has some baseline estimations for the few of the tasks. So we have been getting those inputs and getting some hourly basis estimations. Those are not very accurate, but those are probably again driving our sprint planning for the current sprint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he
So
wanted to know how do we relate, let's say, 3 story point equal to how many hours.
so that's the point. If you have that relationship established, then you may not
Mhm.
need two level estimation. Yeah, you can say, I
Okay.
have already told you 10 story point, it will be 100 hours. Why do you want to waste my time? Just take 100 hours.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's now, but in order to have that predictability, your first level estimation will become very detailed oriented. Yeah, because you won't be able to roughly able to put a story point there. Say you are putting after 8, you are putting 13. Now,
Mhm.
anything which is 13, will they all take 13 hours? Yeah. But what if something is taking 9 hours? Yeah.
Mhm.
So you had a, and that's the why we spoke about it's a non-linear series. Why it's a non-linear
Correct.
series? Because we want at the first level, when you have a rough estimation, you are doing with a 10-20% error range. You are not saying we are doing a good range, but when you are doing in a sprint planning, you are doing at a 5% error range. You still have some error, but your error ranges are less. Now, if you have a rule, 8 story point equals to 8 hours, then what about some a work which takes 9 hours? What about the work which takes 10 hours? Yeah, 11
Mhm.
hours, 12 hours. So if you are calling it 13, then what is happening here? It's wrong in a way. Yeah. So but this, you can say that the 13 pointer may only exist when you are doing first level refinements. Yeah. Once you are doing
Okay.
sprint planning meetings, you may only have a 1 2 3 pointers, so you only focus on 1 2 or 3, that's it. Yeah, you don't go beyond 3. So the
Okay.
whole idea here is, if you want to have a clear relationship with hours, then you should also have a linear scale rather than non-linear scale. And the non-linear scale is primarily meant, again, they may have a reasons to understand, and they might have a reach to a stage where they can do a linear scale estimation. You may say, the way you are selling, we have a 3.5 hour year old project and all those things. Then you may say, let's stop doing a 2 level estimation. Let's do a one linear stage estimation. And you may just start saying it's an ideal days on a, you can say that estimated hours. Let's say, use a word estimated hours. Why to confuse people with the story point? Yeah, you can say the estimated hours for this particular work is 16 hours. Yeah. So then you are easy. You can do 17 also. You can do 15 also. You can do 15.5 also, rather than getting confused in a story point space. Yeah.
Okay.
So we can do. I think there is no, say, from a Scrum or Agile point of view, they have no prescription for estimation. And even in
Correct.
the traditional world, also this was the same problem. Yeah, this is a software development problem, because we are doing sometime estimation with less visibility, and then we are doing estimation with more visibility. So how do we
Okay.
differentiate these two? And in our traditional project management space, we used to talk about that, the cone of uncertainty is high. So initially, when we
Yes.
are doing estimation, the cone of uncertainty tells, there could be a 50-60% error. If we are doing an estimation at a stage which a work is expected to do next week, our cone of uncertainty says just 5% error. Yeah. So it
Correct.
depends. Now, if I'm estimating a work which will get done probably after 3 months, and I'm hoping the accuracy of 5 hours, then I need to put a lot of effort. But if I'm estimating a work which will be getting done in this week, and I'm hoping the accuracy of 5 hours, then it might be okay. That then it's okay, because I'm doing for a near term basis. So we need to understand what is the context, and it could be a near term context. Then we can say, yeah, we can use one measurement unit only. Yeah.
Uh, Saket, next question on some of the come up in our discussion is some of the matrices that we used, because I, as a coming from the service industry, I have some of the metrics that report to the external stakeholder as well as the internal stakeholder. So I spoke about commitment index, acceptance criteria, even burn down chat as my one of the metrics, and then again I spoke about the velocity, right, and the defect leakage or defect density, right. So we had some kind of a discussion where he said that, Sandeep, uh, what do you define a commitment index? So let's say I told him that my capacity velocity is, let's say, 20 story point per sprint, and if I'm achieving, let's say, 80, then 18. So I'm saying that I'm clocking 90% of my 90% is my commitment index. But he said that, let's say, Sandeep, out of 18, let's say only 16 got accepted at in your demo or in the review meeting. So is that your acceptance index is 80%, or still your commitment index is 80%? So I told them, as per our agile excellence body that has formed in our organization, they said that based on the velocity, how many user points we are done from the development or from the Scrum perspective, this is the commitment index. But out of, let's say, 20 story point, 18 story point we delivered, and only 16 has been accepted by a client because of n number of reasons, then my acceptance criteria or acceptance index is 80%. But he said that no, your commitment also is 80%, because finally you are done with only 80% of user stories.
See, let's start here. What is the matrices and why we are collecting it? Yeah. So you can say that I'm a service project manager, and these matrices are part of our performance measurement, because they
Measure.
influence our overall performance, and directly, indirectly, they also influence our money and future flow. Yeah. Future flow of the work. Yeah, if we are not doing, then there could be a risk here. And there are some matrices which are agreed between these two parties. Yeah. And the calculation mechanism is also agreed between these two parties. And when you have proposed the agile way of working, this is how your agile COE got an agreement with that party that these are the 5 matrices we will follow. Yeah. So that's why we
Mhm.
are following that. Yeah. Now you can say, yes, I appreciate your point that yes, there is a more bigger gap in acceptance. And if that becomes a problem, like it's a recurring pattern, it's a problem, then we use that particular thing as a retrospective item as of now. Yeah. Because client is not insisting of adding that as a performance measurement baseline. But we do consider that, because if it happens for a long term, we do understand client will wake up and he will say, this is something you are making us fool. You are saying done, 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 but I'm not getting anything out of it.
Okay.
So that's
So probably
something.
we
Yeah.
can say that whatever the matrix has been agreed with my customer or my agile COU, we have been following that. I appreciate your probably thoughts, but that has been agreed with the parties, and
Yeah.
that's what we are
See,
following and publishing it.
yeah, so we can say what are the goal of a matrix is. So
Right.
there are multiple goals of the matrices. One is that you spoke about retrospective, you spoke about continuous improvement. So matrices should help us in finding out where are we defaulting, yeah, which need to be corrected, where we will face future problem, else we will face future problem. Yeah. Now, what is your problem? What you care for? So if I am
Mhm.
a product company scrum master, my problem is not velocity. My problem is we are unable to deliver to the end releases. So my matrices might be how many releases we have done in this particular month. That might be my metrics. But if I'm a service scrum master, service delivery scrum master, then my problem is defined by the contract which has given to me. And they have said that you guys will get paid based on your adherence to the commitment versus
Mm.
capacity. I am paying you
Capacity.
for 20 people. I want work done for 20 people, and this is how I define that. So there is a mechanism of defining it. And if you don't be efficient in that space, then you will face some problem at some point in time. Yeah. So that
Okay.
is the whole idea of matrices is the matrices helps us in finding the concern area which need to be corrected. Now we can
Right.
say that yes, I understand that you are pointing out to a concern area, that even if team feels they have delivered the things, but customer is not getting value out of it, the customer will say, then there could be a second level of intervention. What was the reason? Were those reasons attributed to customer issues, or were those reasons attributed to our issues? And if they are attributed to our issues in a long term, then we have a problem.
Mhm.
If they are attributed to customer issues, we also keep making point about it. So after doing retrospective, we make, yes, we understand you could not get value out of it, but we were not at fault. So on a periodic basis,
Correct.
we do that analysis, and we show them that, yeah, there were instances where we finished our story, we met the definition of done, but you could not accept it because of various reasons. And we have analyzed them, and we have identified that these were not attributed to our side of the work, they were attributed to your side of the work. And because our problem is we should not be defaulting in our contract. Yeah. So the whole idea here is, for this scrum master, value is something which has been defined in that contract. Yeah. And he should be
Correct.
adhering to that value. Whereas if you dream about a product scrum master, he may have a different a commitment to his stakeholders, and the,
Commitment.
yeah, value is defined by that. Yeah, that thing. Yeah. So based on your contract, the matrices comes. Matrices are part of your contract. They are part of your continuous review of your contract. And yes, the matrices can change, they can evolve, and we use them in a retrospective meeting to ensure that we are meeting our commitment which we have given to our clients.
Because and sometimes these matrices are probably very handy as a data point if things goes wrong, or probably
Yeah.
you have to take any decision based on those data points.
Yes, yes. And
That's what.
in a real world, most of these matrices will be a part of your contract also. If you don't produce
Yes.
these metrics, the client will ask, what happened? We have agreed
What
for these
happened?
four parameters. You have not submitted these four parameters. How do I renew your contract, or how do I let you bill me for the next month? I will not let you bill for the next month because you have not given me these data.
Correct.
Yeah. There's a
That's what.
possibility of contract influences there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Saket. I think I'm done with my
Good.
questions. Thanks for all those inputs, and I think you almost spent an hour for me on Sunday. Really, I
No
appreciate
problem.
your
Yeah,
help and time taking.
yeah.
This is
And
the
I will.
additional knowledge for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
What I believe is that interview is a very little tricky thing. You don't know
Yes.
what the other person is coming up with, what
I
his
think we'll have to
mindset.
talk in their context and the
Yes,
mindset,
yeah,
because
yeah,
if
yeah,
my context is not fit into his context, then probably interview never go into the positive way. Even though
perfect. Yeah,
we as a Scrum Master do these things each and every other day, otherwise the team may not deliver, or probably
yeah,
we are not able to handle them. But probably in that hour we'll have to speak in their context, what they
perfect.
are referring to and what they are thinking. If we get that know in within the first 5 minutes, then we are done for the day. Otherwise
Perfect, perfect,
we'll have to
perfect.
go for again and again.
Yes, yes. And I also recommend that only to my people who are coming and talking, that try to be clear about their context. Try to repeat the question before you answer it. Don't jump to a conclusion. Try to validate. Okay, is this the context you are talking about? Is this the situation you are referring to? And try to imagine the question well in the whole situation
Correct.
before you jump to the answer, because the person might
Exactly.
be thinking in his context and asking the question. You might be thinking in your context and answering the question, and then in between you may say, why this guy is not understanding what I am telling, and the other guy will also think, why this guy is not understanding what I am asking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
So
think sometimes, and that is my experience also. If we ask the question, or probably if we ask them to rephrase the question, probably they may give some hint about what they wanted to
yeah,
ask
yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That is
yeah.
the hint somewhere. This is probably the reading between the lines when they speak about.
Perfect, perfect, good, nice talking. Yeah, I think this will be a useful video
Thanks,
for our
Saket.
community as well. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Bye.
Appreciate your
Sure.
thanks, Saket.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.